This video we're going to look at the perioperative tracking screen, which I have open here in PowerChart. You get into it by clicking View, and then you have perioperative tracking here. So this screen is an interactive view, and it can be used by a variety of different roles in the patient's theatre journey. So for example, it can be used by the ward nurses to check the theatre list and check the theatre order. It can be used by ODPs, circulating and scrub practitioners to check in the patient when they arrive down in theatres, and also to set events to say that the patient has arrived in the anaesthetic room, for example, or that the patient has been sent for prior to that. It can also be used in recovery, also to set events to say that the patient has left recovery. So it will be used by a variety of different roles as an overview of the patient's journey throughout theatre. And it will allow you to see the different statuses of the patient as their case unfolds. So let's have a look at the key functionalities then. So at the top here we have these different tabs. So at the moment I'm looking in South Wing Theatres, and I can see in South Wing number 1 there's 10 cases, in South Wing number 2 there's 10 cases. If I scroll along, there's different information regarding this, but initially I just want to show you the scheduled start times, so you can see the ward, the day case inpatient, and the scheduled start times over here. Now if you wanted to look at a different theatre, you can click between these tabs. We can have a look at Central, West Parks, for example, but let's just take a look back in South Wing. Now we've got a filter here, so at the moment there is none, but we can have a look at all theatres today, or we could check tomorrow's theatre list. There's none scheduled for tomorrow, but you can see there's different filters here, and whichever one you select, it will filter to that particular option. So if I just wanted to look in South Wing number 1, I can see my 10 theatre cases here. Now we've got different icons here, such as check-in. They won't all be used, so mass checkout perhaps won't all be used, but open patient records, set events. A lot of these you can access using the board here. It's an interactive screen. So let's have a look at the different functionality in the different columns. So they are all listed along the top, and we mentioned previously that we saw the scheduled start times over here. But looking at the first column is this blue triangle. So whatever patient you select, you have a blue triangle. If you were to double click that blue triangle, it would open up their patient record. So it'll open up on the default view, wherever that may be. You may get some warnings about drug courses that need reviewing. But here we go, my patient has opened up onto their assessments fluid balance. Okay, I'll just close that down. You've also got their patient name. So these individual columns are interactive in different ways. So if I were to double click on my patient name, I'd get this warning again about the drug needs reviewing, but it will open up this time into my perioperative documentation, and here it's going to ask me my location, because now it will take me through to checking in the patient. So this is something that the theatre team would want to do when the patient arrives either in the anaesthetic room or if they're going straight into theatres. I'm just going to cancel that, because once the patient is checked in, it can't be undone, which is important to note, because if for whatever reason the surgery is cancelled, it will take a bit more of an effort to reschedule that case. Okay, we have then got the MRN numbers, the ages, the genders, allergies, which if you hover over it tells you what sort of allergy they've got, or you can double click to get a bit more information here. So our patient has no known allergies. We've then got the procedure details, any imaging requirements which will pull through from the order. We then have the status, which is how the this status column is updated using set events. So for our patients here, we can see that they've arrived in the anaesthetic room. Now this can be updated by different roles, but to give you an example, if I right click on my patient, I can then set events. So currently I can see the different events that have been set. If I maximize this window, my patient was sent for, and then another event was marked that the patient's arrived in the anaesthetic room. And these events are all over here through the different columns. So now, perhaps if my patient has entered the operating theatre, I can click that event, it will add that, and I click OK, and it will update my status column. So it's a nice overview for different roles to see what is going on with the patient and to see what status they're at. We then have any alerts over here which would come through from the patient record, the surgeon they're booked under, and again, if the anaesthetist or the anaesthesia type was documented, this will pull through as well. We can write comments at the end here. This is an interactive column. You double click and then it's a case of free texting any columns and pressing enter to save that comment. So that concludes the overview of the perioperative tracking screen. There are extra guides to look at these different tasks and activities that can be performed on this tracking board in more detail, but as an overview, that is completed.